Hello YouTube and fellow DC Comic fans! I'm Kelly One Shot, and today we're going to talk about Justice League number 24 from DC Comics, written by Scott Snyder, with artwork by George Jimenez, and colors by Alejandro Sanchez. Okay, so we continue the 6th Dimension story arc where we actually start off with Clark Kent as he's thinking to himself a moment in the past where he's telling Lois about a day that he spent with Jonathan Kent. How they kind of did everything together. He trained Jonathan, he taught him how to play guitar, which is actually a subtle reference back to DC's Dark Knight Metal, where Jonathan and Damian Wayne played the na 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 Batman song, and Superman says, see, Batman songs are fun, but Superman songs are inspiring, in a way that, so it's a little nod back to DC's Dark Knight Metal, but that's a fun little playful moment, and we kind of see Jonathan, a young Jonathan still, bonding with Superman as he's kind of going over this great day that he had with Jonathan, where they just really had a great time. They fought villains, and they just kind of did father and son stuff, and he's telling Lois about this great day, and then suddenly he hears Jonathan upstairs crying and kind of upset about something, so he runs upstairs, and Jonathan's all bummed out because they forgot to send this lantern, this memorial lantern, up into the sky and light it so that way it would be a memorial for Pa Kent, because this is a particular day of the year where they're supposed to honor the dead and honor Pa. And Clark tells Jonathan, hey man, I know that you really care about your grandfather, but he would much rather of us had the day that we had than to light an old lantern to remember him, because it's raining. So then Clark he's trying to console his son, but he still feels bad about this. And we actually kind of see this inner dialogue where they say, people often assume Superman ever imagines the worst thing. It must be while he's fighting these world-threatening events and these villains, that while he's taking a punch that shatters mountains and he's engulfed in plasma blasts that are as hot as the sun, that he must be imagining the worst things that could possibly be happening during these types of fights. But it's actually, he doesn't do that because he can't afford to think about the end at those times, because he has to just be focused on saving the day. So we actually learn that instead it's these slow moments, these quiet moments, these small failures when he feels like he just can't help his son as a father, that he has the time to imagine, and he has time to think about what can go wrong, what can happen. What if I'm not there to save the world? What if the whole planet's in jeopardy and I do the right thing, the Superman thing, but because of that, the planet gets destroyed and everybody dies? So instantly, he's then brought back to his current present day, which is in the 6th dimension, in this weird future utopian society, except for Superman has been trapped in this black emptiness of space, and he's trying his best to fly back and try to help the rest of the Justice League to escape this 6th dimension and defeat the World Forger, because he's trying to replace our multiverse with this 6th dimension multiverse that he has created in the World Forge. And Superman's running out of power, and he's trying to fly through space, but it's empty and it's dark, and no matter how hard he tries, or no matter what he thinks, he's trying to block out all these feelings that he's having of self-doubt, and he's trying to not imagine what could go wrong. He's trying to just focus on and get into fighting mode and keep on flying and making it to save the Justice League, but he keeps falling back on those negative thoughts, so he actually falls down. And then we get this little message that says, the 5th dimension is imagination, a realm where all our hopes and fears, a realm that demands we look beyond what is probable to what is possible. And then we actually jump to the next segment of this story, where we see this spaceship that is actually being driven by various members of the Legion of Doom in the future. So we have Sinestro, Cheetah, we have Gorilla Grodd, and we have Darkseid, and they're actually helping the Justice League. They helped him escape from the prison planet on Apokolips during the last issue, as we find out, because they're evil and they're about doom. This universe is about justice, so it's trying to cleanse the world of these people. So essentially, during this prison planet utopian society, the bad guys are kind of like the rogues. They're kind of like the people that you need to be on the sides with. They're the rebels who are fighting to break from this utopian spell that isn't real. So they're helping the Justice League, and they're actually being trailed by an armada of ships that is led by Lois Lane in this future 6th dimension and Jimmy Olsen, who are both like war-torn and kind of crazy. So that's pretty cool. And like Sinestro seems to be the leader of this group, and he's kind of explaining to them why he would help, and that he's pretty much just going over, that this is the last ditched effort, and he needs to get this Justice League to the Earth on the 6th dimension to stop the World Forger and stop Batman, because he says that Batman's hand is going to change it all. We actually do get these fun little interactions between like Darkseid and Gorilla Grodd, and Grodd's kind of playful, and he's just spitting out his mouth, and it's pretty fun. But we do get this message that it's Batman who's going to change the world, and then Sinestro actually tells the Justice League that he believed in Doom and he was fighting with this purpose, but then eventually he saw what Luthor becomes, and that it's worse is like, he can't handle how bad Luthor becomes. So something's going to happen soon with Lex Luthor, and he's going to become this great evil. Maybe he's going to fuse with Brainiac further, and the two of them are going to be like gods like they did on Justice League Unlimited, or maybe they're going to take on the powers of Perpetua. Who knows what's going to happen there, but something's going to happen soon with Lex Luthor, and he's going to become something that's terrifying, and that the Justice League is also going to become something different under Batman's hands, and that he's going to essentially rewrite them. And they don't understand quite yet why. Then we actually get this message on the screen in the spaceship of Lois Lane trying to stop them and say, hey prisoners, you need to come back to Apokolips. And she actually mentions the spaceship that Clark was sent to Earth in, and that it was able to like educate him and keep him in stasis while he was traveling throughout the solar systems. And she mentions that in this society they kind of used that technology to create what they call the Krypton Cradles, which they use to re-educate villains, and they're planning on using it on our Justice League. So this spaceship battle's going on, and they're being chased by the Armada. Then we actually go to the World Forger's tower, where Batman is talking to the World Forger, and that it's almost time to strike the Crisis Anvil and to replace this current multiverse with the one that the World Forger has been creating, which he's been seeing going on here, and that the World Forger understands that Batman is a little uncertain about joining up with him, and he wants to make sure that Batman is cool with all of this, and Batman assures him that like he can convince the rest of the Justice League, so the World Forger just has to convince Batman that this is okay. Then they walk up to this door, this crazy door with this kind of symbol on it that's obviously looks like a bat, and then Batman gets up to it and he's like, I don't understand, what is this place? And the World Forger tells him that it's the greatest seat of power in existence, and only the maker and breaker of the universe may enter. So Batman assumes that it's the World Forger's, and he says, no, it's not mine, it's yours. Go in, open it, you'll understand. And when Batman goes in, he realizes that it's this thing that Batman eventually builds called the Sun Box, which is similar to a father and a mother box, but this actually allows him to determine what members of the League and what people on Earth would go to Doom and which would go to Justice, so that they can strike first and win this war that's going to happen soon. And they actually mention Element X, which is the thing that Scott Snyder's dealt with before, but to me, even in that, this kind of looks like Cerebro straight up. And it also mentions that in this chair, Batman built his final suit, which allows him to not only determine people's minds, but to also change them and rewrite them cell by cell. And Batman doesn't understand. He says, you're telling me that the Future League never agreed to this future? And the World Forger says, no man, with this suit you can change their minds and alter everything. You are the greatest knight of the universe, Bruce Wayne. Not the Dark Knight, the bright sun, the true sun. Now it's time for you to don the suit. Then the World Forger senses something, and this kind of pisses them off. And basically what that is that the Justice League, led by the Legion of Doom, is getting closer to the Earth, and they're being trailed by the ship, and with a last-ditched effort, the Legion of Doom decides that they're going to get captured by Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane, but they're going to shoot our members of the Justice League off into this portal through use of the ship's cannon, so that way they can get to Earth and stop the World Forger. They say their goodbyes. The Justice League gets shot off in this cannon. It's actually another funny moment with Grodd and Lois Lane, and he's like, yeah, they all went to the can. And then sure enough, the Justice League actually gets sent by the portal, but Lois can't stop them. It's too late. We then actually go to Earth, and we see that the World Forger was already aware of this. He has his future Utopian Justice League there with them. This picture is awesome. It's really great. We see the whole team lined up, and he's like, you didn't think that I would sense your presence coming back? I wrote the rules of this universe, and I created this multiverse, and I created this Justice League using the greatest possible future versions of each of you, which again, we see Dick Grayson Batman. So I mean, obviously that shows us that Dick Grayson Batman is the greatest version of Batman. We got that Wally West, Barry Allen, Future Flash hybrid character, Wonder Woman who's embracing her magic, Hawk Girl and Martian Manhunter kind of look pretty similar to how they always do. They just embrace their truth or whatever. And then John Stewart is actually a White Lantern. So that's the best possible versions of them in the future, according to the World Forger. And then, while the Justice League is going to stand up to this challenge and they're not going to allow this to happen, and they're going to try to take down this league and stop the World Forger's plans, all of a sudden this big explosion happens, and it's Batman in this huge crazy suit that looks awesome. It's white and gold. It looks pretty cool. And this is the final bat suit according to the World Forger. And Barry's like, hey Batman, are you here to help? And Batman goes, sorry Barry, but it's time to imagine a different ending. And that's actually the ending of the book, where we see Batman in this super suit looking over our Justice League as if he's going to attack them. And then it says that the next issue is going to be the battle for the future. I honestly don't think that Batman's going to attack our Justice League. I think that he was getting close to the World Forger to learn as much information that he can about this potential future, about this Sun Box, about this final bat suit, and what the World Forger says Batman would be willing to do to create this utopian society. I think that he wanted to just get close to him and learn about it, and now he has access to this final bat suit and this technology, so maybe he can take that back to the fifth dimension with us, or the fourth dimension with us, because the fifth dimension is where the imps are from. Either way, so he's got that knowledge now, and I don't think he's going to attack our Justice League. I think he's going to use this suit to actually attack the World Forger. But I love this story. It's been really great so far. Scott Snyder, George Jimenez, James Tynion, Alejandro Sanchez, everybody who's worked on this issue has done a really great job. And I can't wait to see how it ends. So either way, I'm Kelly One Shot. Take care, have a great day, and goodbye.